The Arts Office, Waterford City and County Council, is pleased to announce that the winner of the Molly Keane Creative Writing Award 2022 is Bernadette Farrell, County Wexford. Congratulations, Bernadette. The Den. The summer was hot. It led us to the river, and that was where Anne found the den. She was always finding things, keys, coins, once a mood ring frozen black. We reckoned the den was special though. It was set back a little from the water, its mouth an arch of thorns. Hidden by brush and briar and thick, twisted roots, I shivered in its shadow, wondered aloud about rats. Anne said it belonged to a monster, one that climbed out of the river at night. I didn't believe her, not really. But I shivered again, said we should go. I had the price of a chalk ice and my mouth felt dry. Swear you won't tell anyone about this, Anne said. Swear on your life. I swore. Now swear on mine. We were 10 years old. We didn't have much, but now we had a secret. A pocket of earth no one else knew about. We could come and go as we pleased, disappear at will. Our plans for the summer changed after that. We spent it by the river. Mam didn't ask too many questions. Instead, she took advantage of the calm, sat smoking on the back step, a book in her lap. Meanwhile, Anne and I made the den comfortable. We loved it there. Loved the call of the birds, the slurp of the water. But evening would come and I'd itch for home, for dinner and Grendel, my one-eyed cat. And I'd tell Anne I'd see her in the morning. She asked me to stay once. I said I couldn't. You're afraid. No, I'm not. I was only messing about the monster, she said. If that's what you're worried about, it doesn't really climb out of the river at night. It doesn't climb out of the river. It waits for you at home, in the living room, in the dark, in the chair with the dodgy leg and the cigarette burns on the armrest. Waits, and no matter how careful you are, how quiet, it hears and is ready. And when it says your name, the one it gave you, you know that all your bargaining was for nothing, for nothing has changed. The monster breathes and you may as well too, so you let it out, that long held breath, the one you thought might keep you safe, only it didn't. It tries to stand, too drunk, grapples with the chair, its knuckles white as it pushes itself up on its feet, swaying, finds you with a wink. Your chest constricts. You know what's coming. You look for help, for someone to build a wall and save you. But there's no one. Mammy is shut in her room, ears plugged, waiting for the morning, perhaps nursing a new smile, teeth on the carpet, hair and its roots, little bulbs to sow and grow in the cut pile that you thread on so lightly, so quietly. But it can be as loud as it wants. It can smash and splinter, whip through the house and kill you over and over again. You close your eyes until it's done, until only the pain remains. The sad, sure throb of it in your room. You touch the places it touched. Try to take them back. Your skin ripens. Your little bones sing. You go to bed, begging them to fuse and flourish. Hope to wake in the morning as someone else. I put the words in Anne's mouth. I was young, but I knew about her dad and his temper, his whisky nose and bad leg, the leg that stopped him dreaming. I crawled out, called softly that I would see her tomorrow. Mrs. Kelly, her mother, knocked on the door first thing. She was pale, her top lip crusty with scab. Said Anne didn't come home last night, had we seen her. Mam offered to make tea, but Mrs. Kelly shook her head, said she'd better call the guards, that this wasn't like Anne. And was I sure I didn't know her she was? I didn't tell them about the den. At that moment, all I could see was Mrs. Kelly's broken face. "Swear on my life," Anne said. So I held my tongue, kept her safe. A search by the guards yielded nothing. Mam said they would search again tomorrow, that they were looking for volunteers. She did her best to comfort me, made hot chocolate, said we could watch a film. She fell asleep halfway through and I left the house. When I reached the den, I called Anne's name. She didn't answer, so I crept inside. There was a cushion and a shoe. Her shoe. Mam and I were in the Garda station, in a room with no window. There was a cup of tea on the table before us. It was cold, untouched, the bag still in it. Detective Devlin wanted to know if Anne and I had ever seen anyone by the river. A grown-up, for example, a stranger. I shook my head. He wanted to know if there was someone Anne was scared of, someone who made her uncomfortable. Mam cleared her throat. Said Anne's father was known to be violent. Detective Devlin nodded, wrote something down. He looked up then, looked right at me, asked why I hadn't told anyone about her hideaway. I looked at Mam. She stared into her lap. Mr. Kelly had an alibi for the night Anne went missing. He'd been in Whelan slugging whiskey and reminiscing about his jockey days. No one listened, they'd heard it all before, except for one man who asked to see his scar. Mr. Kelly didn't put much pass on him, wouldn't be able to recall his face. He was drunk and flattered, described the horse that kicked him, the surgery that followed. Dark days after that, he'd said. Grief and anger and whiskey the only thing to lift him. He was thrown out sometime after 12, was seen staggering up the lane for home. "She might have been found," Mrs. Kelly yelled at me in the supermarket one day. "She might have been found safe and sound if you'd just told them where she'd been." Mam pulled me away. At the end of the aisle, I glanced over my shoulder. Anne's mother stood sobbing into her hands, a cage of women around her. I stayed in my room after that, in bed, trying to sleep and forget. But Anne was everywhere. In shop windows and newspapers, even on TV. Masses were said for her, a candlelit vigil held. An artist came to our school and painted a mural of her on the bike shed wall. She was everywhere. Everywhere and nowhere. The summer ended. Instead of going to school, I went to the river. The den was destroyed, the work of concerned parents. A child had been reduced to a shoe. It would not happen again. I sat by the water, sat until the grass grew warm and damp beneath me, until the sky darkened and the stars burned cold. Anne felt close. There was a splash and I leaned out. I saw the monster. It looked just like me.